God bless you.
Amen.
I want to thank you for joining us here on Time of Empowerment. Pastor Flowers,
Pastor Flowers.
we want to again welcome you. We're going to wait a few more minutes for other people to join in. We're again excited about um, yes, we're excited about in the meantime it comes up. Do you want to tag
Yeah.
Ruth Flowers in there?
I always see that. I'm thinking
Yeah.
to myself, okay.
I guess because I tagged
Mm-hmm.
the announcement of the video
Mm-hmm.
on your page.
Yeah.
God bless you. How you doing,
Praise Him.
Pastor and co-pastor
Yes.
Ennels?
Yeah.
God bless you. Good to see you. We're just waiting for some more people to join us before we get ready to get started. Amen. Kind of excited about. How you doing, Minister? Bless you.
Praise the Lord.
Good to see you. Amen. Minister Harris. Amen. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. Amen. We thank God. But excited about. Good to see you. Thank all of you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. If you can share the video, let people know the time of empowerment that we're on tonight.
You know, we got a good topic this
Yes,
week too. Yeah.
yes. Excited about the.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if you can say excited, but we're excited about it. We're excited about what God's going to talk. But I think Pastor Flowers, this subject is healthy for marriages and relationships going forward.
Relationships going forward. Yes.
And stuff, and because the enemy likes to always try to bring up stuff and try to hinder things as progress is going forward. And if we do our best to make sure we're cleaning out closets and cleaning out trunks and cleaning out drawers, dresser drawers, and all those kind of things, the enemy won't have any ammunition to come by and try to hinder.
Nope,
or
because you
get
took
away.
the power.
Absolutely. And we've got to learn that as married couples and as believers, take the power from the
Take
enemy
the power from the enemy.
by dealing with stuff that needs to be dealt with.
Yep.
If we do that, the enemy can't come back and throw things at us to hinder and bind. Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
Yes, good to see you too. Can't hinder and bind. Well, Pastor Flowers, we're gonna get started,
Okay.
and I'm asking you to listen, and let's put this out front because we talked about this subject. We talked about this subject for almost 2 weeks now, and that is we're gonna say some things, and we're gonna talk about some things. How you doing, Brother Howard? We're gonna talk about some things, but you need to be led by the Holy Spirit in how you carry out these things.
Yes.
But some things are necessary.
Yeah. Some things need to be handled immediately.
Absolutely.
And some things you need to, let the Lord lead you
Absolutely.
how to handle it, although it do need to be handled.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And there's some things that, and there's different ways when we say handle it. There's different ways that you may have to handle it. And if you go into something headlong and you go in there not being led by the Holy Spirit, and you're not measuring how relevant this is to the measure of the relationship or what's going on in the relationship, you could end up doing more damage to the relationship than you can to bring in any kind of peace.
Yes.
We want to, and we cannot emphasize this enough. We want to remove any power that the enemy would have over our relationships.
Amen.
But we want to make sure that we're not using what we think we need to deal with and stuff to cause more of a disruption because it's either not relevant, not the season, or you haven't put it together like you need to put it together for them to receive it.
Yeah.
And stuff. So we need to be not only honest, we need to be led.
Yes.
We need to be directed because some of the things that we're going to talk about and stuff you need to be led by the Holy Spirit. You need to be you need to be honest with it, and we cannot emphasize this enough. Relationships will always grow strong, will always be profitable to the ones that you're in it when we're honest. And you know what? Honesty doesn't always feel comfortable, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, sometimes it's scary.
Yes.
Sometimes you might have to cry in the midst of it.
Absolutely.
But you got to be honest.
Absolutely. So, Pastor Flowers, if you want to start talking about it, or
okay, we're going to just kick it off, and I'll start reading. When you want me to stop, then I'll just stop. But this is it. Why honesty is an important part of getting and keeping trust.
Absolutely.
That's the topic we're going to talk about tonight. Why honesty is an important part about getting a person to trust you and then keeping them trusting you.
And let me say this, Pastor Flowers, before we go on. Honesty is not just me telling you the truth. Honesty must also consist of me doing the truth I said to you. So
it's easy to talk.
Yes, yes. There may have been some things I may have done wrong. There's some things I may have said wrong to Pastor Flowers, and I admit to her. I say to her, I'm admitting to you that I'm wrong. I shouldn't have said some of the things I said. I should have did some of the things I did and stuff, and I'm sorry. And the honest part about it is that I'm admitting or acknowledging that I did something wrong. Or she may think some things are going on and I'm not being completely honest with her. Then I may come one time to her and say, well, you know what, you were right. I did. I spent that money the wrong way. I spent it and stuff, and I was hoping that I could get back, replace it back at my next paycheck. and stuff. That's honesty. That's good, but it cannot stop there, because now that honesty has to put discipline on when the next time or opportunity is offered to me to do the same thing, that I don't do it, because my honesty will hope. My hopes in my honesty, and this should be our goal, is to build trust back in the person, in our spouse that we offended and stuff. So honesty is just not what you say; it's what you do afterwards. Yeah. It's like sometimes we were talking. I think one of the first broadcasts we were talking about how sometimes we offend people and we ask them for forgiveness, but we forget that the offense doesn't just go here; it goes here too. Yeah. So you don't just clear out the heart; you got to clear out the mind. Because that offense makes them may make them. You were saying that, we were saying that earlier in another situation. I was talking to someone else, I don't know, but anyway, the thing is that sometimes people can do things and it changes how you view them,
your perspective,
how you think about them, how you feel about them in your mind. Not just
you think to yourself, I never thought they would do that.
Right.
I never thought they would react that way. I always thought that I could trust them in this, but now I see them in a whole new light.
Absolutely. So I don't want to just get forgiveness in a heart. I want to get forgiveness in a mind too. And that's my.
And we talked earlier too about offending one another.
Right.
And then going to God.
Right. Yes.
And repenting.
Absolutely.
Without trying to make any type of restitution with that person that we offended.
Absolutely.
Whether it be we lied to them or whatever.
Absolutely.
You asked me, did you put all the money in the bank? And I tell you, well, yeah, I put all the money in the bank when I knew I kept back $20 because I want to go and do whatever.
Absolutely.
And I lie to you about it, but then I get convicted and I tell the Lord the truth about it and think I'm okay, but the lie still rests with you.
Absolutely.
And we was talking about how, because we're in a 3-part covenant, I'm just not in covenant with God.
Absolutely. Right, you're
but
right.
In this relationship, I'm in covenant with you and God. So it's a 3-part covenant. So how am I going to lie to one part of the covenant and then go to the other part of the covenant and confess it and think that there's a good flow?
Well, it's just like, how parents I have a child and child will come ask one of the parents something. And the parent will say, what did your mom or what did your dad say?
Yeah.
And they'll say, I didn't ask mom yet. Well, you go back and ask mom.
Yes.
Or I'll talk to mom about this situation. Then we'll conclude how it comes up. Because that's how good parenting and family unity comes. And sometimes what we don't understand, the gospel clears that up. Yeah. When it says, don't bring your gift to the altar.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
stuff, knowing that you have something against someone, trying to offer that gift.
Yes.
And he said, I'm paraphrasing. But what it actually says is leave that gift there. Leave whatever offering that you're trying to give to God. And go reconcile yourself back to the one that you've offended.
This is also in relationships.
Absolutely.
We go and we try to pray past it and sacrifice past it and shout past it and cry past it and be full of scripture past it, full of a religious spirit past it, and know we have offended one another. Know we may have lied to one another. Know we may have secrets from one another. But yet still in that 3-part covenant, we think we can bypass all of that and go straight to God.
Bypass the person that you offended and go to God.
Yes.
Now, God may have, at some level has been offended by our ungodly behavior. Yeah. But you've also offended the person by your ungodly behavior that you've made a covenant with as well.
Exactly.
And God's not going to say, okay, you asked me to forgive you, I forgive you. Don't worry about your spouse. But God doesn't do that. Scriptures cover that. Yes. Leave that gift.
Leave it.
Go be reconciled and stuff. Then you can come back to him and offer that gift. And you're right, Pastor Flower. So many times we have people, we can see, and if people are really listening, sometimes anointings are broken from pulpits of married people. Because
there's a breach in the flow.
Yes, because they keep offending their spouses and not going back and making amends and dealing with their spouses, but always coming to God because they want to preach a good message. But that good message doesn't extend from the length of the pulpit to the pews, but it extends after you go past the pews back into your home. And God recognizes that. And God won't just bypass it.
In the hearts of some, whether men or women, sometimes they may feel, well, why I got to go to him? Well, why I got to go to her? Why I got to tell them this? Why I got to how come I just can't go straight to God? It is because you're in that 3-part covenant. Absolutely.
Well, you know what he says? I think it's in the book of Malachi when he talks about, here you come weeping again. And stuff on my altar, ask for this and ask for that. He said, but you have been disrespectful, you've been unfaithful to the covenant of your wife.
See?
So God again addresses, if you've been unfaithful to the covenant between you and your spouse, you can't keep coming to God's altar and repenting and asking for his grace and asking for his empowerment when he says you're not faithful to the covenant you made before me with the wife of your covenant. So all these things come to play. And again, as we said at the beginning, we have to be led. How relevant is it?
We're going to get into that.
We're going to get into that, but we have to, in this season, remove the power of the enemy to bring old pains, old frustrations up. We've got to do that and stuff in our relationships and marriages, because we don't want to be in the pulpit and the enemy brings up something we haven't dealt with, and then coming out the pulpit have to deliver another message because we've been dishonest to the spouse that we said we love. So we're gonna talk about some of that things, some of those things. And if you have any questions, please feel free to write them down. I'll either see them over here when we're monitoring it, or we'll see them down here. But we're more.
We got computers on both sides.
Yes, we encourage you, please, to ask questions. We will engage with you and stuff, and get to your questions as quick as possible and stuff. So again, we're gonna get ready to get started. All right, hon.
Okay. The truth is, most secrets can take a toll on your relationship. If the secret prevents your partner from knowing the real you or causes you to lie all the time, then it'll likely cause problems down the road. Trusting your partner and opening up is the only way to avoid damaging your relationship. While you don't have to share everything about yourself, it's pretty obvious when someone's keeping a big, dark secret. Sharing your secrets is not only freeing and healthier for you, but it is central to a happy and trusting relationship.
You know, Pastor Flowers, I don't think sometimes that when things are being done and there's and we'll mention this again, there's a fear of, if I tell him or her exactly what I've done, what I've been through, the mistakes I made. I'm not talking about the mistakes you made before the marriage. I'm talking about some of the mistakes that we have made in the marriage. Against the marriage. Or during the marriage.
Yes.
If we tell that, if we say that, I'm afraid of the consequences of what may happen. I'm afraid they may leave me. I'm afraid they may look at me differently. I'm afraid they may look at me funny. I'm afraid they may never trust me again. But what we sometimes neglect is that when we hide our engagement or our participation in the marriage behind dishonesty, you lose some of you towards that person. You can never give all of you to the person that you're married to when part of you is hidden behind a lie.
Yes.
You know,
and even though the person may not know, what the lie is, there's something on the inside of them that says, something's just not right.
Right.
There's something that's not being told here.
Right.
There are some gaps and there's some, breaches in the relationship that I need to know about.
Absolutely.
And because of that, many times you'll find, your relationship begin to have problems where one feels like, they're just backing up. And then it can also make you lose respect for one
Absolutely.
another.
Have you ever been in a relationship where, or in a marriage, and you had struggles, and you could put your finger on some of the struggles, and you could deal with them, but it was always this one struggle that you just couldn't seem to put your finger on. I can't seem to find out. I can't seem to get this out of the way. It's like an invisible ghost. You keep punching it and punching it and punching it, but it doesn't seem to go away. You keep binding and loosening. You keep taking spiritual authority, and God hears you. You have authority. You cast out devils, or you pray for people that got healed. But this one thing, seems like this one little, and it's not a whole door. Sometimes it's just a crack in the window that you can't seem to close all the way. And then you realize after a while that the reason why this crack is here is because dishonesty has been practiced and covered in a relationship. And when dishonesty is practiced and covered in a relationship, the enemy always has an easy route to bring disruptions and problems. And sometimes arguments arise, and you don't know why these arguments arise. Yes, sometimes it comes past because sometimes we don't handle things right. We're immature, or sometimes we mishandle the last argument and stuff, and it leads over, or it seeds ill feelings or bitterness in a person and stuff, and we just let it go. But sometimes it's because people are not honestly dealing with the offense and not taking responsibility for the things they've done. And then when you realize the person has lied, and some of the lies that they've done, you may already have a sense of that's what they've done. But what you need to do, what you just want before you label it, is for them to take responsibility and let's deal with it and go on. I think sometimes in marriages, people don't give as much credit to the maturity and love that the person has towards them, or that they really do have. So they resist telling the truth, or they resist being honest about what they've done, because they don't believe the person is mature enough or lovable enough to stick it out with them. And that's. You can't underestimate your love and your relationship.
And sometimes when you are dealing with someone and that you're in a relationship with, you know that there's more to the subject than what they're bringing forth. It makes you respond sometimes to them edgy, makes you respond to them sometimes snappy, and you really don't understand why you're edgy, why you're snappy, but deep down on the inside, you know that it's because you know that something's just not right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's not a reason that up on the surface
Right.
as to why you're snappy or why you're edgy, but you know that
Absolutely.
there's something just not right with you.
Absolutely. And if we, how you doing, Sister Crystal?
Yes.
And if we just deal with those things, if we just honestly come forward, and and from the deep to the most shallow thing, sometimes spouses weigh them the same way. They hold them in the same kind of deception, or the same kind of lie, or the same kind of holding back as they do with the weightier things. We need to be upfront. Again, we said this at the beginning. You need to be led. It needs to be relevant. You need to be willing to deal with it. The other person on the other side needs to be willing to deal with it, so you can make a decision. Be mature enough to receive it and stuff, and this will make it whole, and you be the reason to go to the next. But you don't need to go back 20 years before you got married and start telling stuff that's not relevant to the relationship. We're not talking about that. There are some things you do, unless now there are some things that we do talk about that may have happened prior to marriage that you do need to reveal to each other and stuff. We'll get to those in a few minutes. There are some things, and it has nothing to do with you went with Johnny or somebody else. I'm not talking about that. That's prior to marriage. But there are some things that may have come out from that engagement that you do need to share with them and stuff, and that will have an impact on your right now relationship. But we're going to get to that in just a few minutes. Okay, hon.
Okay. I'm going to read a little bit here.
All
Certainly keeping secrets from a partner is a common dilemma that needs to be addressed on many levels. In fact, recent research shows that 1 in 5 people are keeping a major secret, such as infidelities, money troubles, or some other kinds of lies from their spouse.
1 in 5.
1 in 5. Surprisingly, some of the respondents in this particular study said they have kept their secret for more than 25 years.
Listen to this.
Further, 1 in 4 of these people who kept secrets in this study said that they felt their secrets were so big that they feared that it would destroy their marriage if their spouse ever found it out.
Now hold on just for a second. Survey said, first of all, 1 in 5 people in marriages said they kept big secrets.
Yep.
Some in the survey, I think 25% of them said, or what?
Some of the respondents in this particular study said they have kept a secret for more than 25 years.
5 years. And
How
stuff.
can you live that long with a secret?
When people are afraid,
Yeah.
Sometimes you marry people who were raised up in families or have been involved in relationships, that the first mistake they made, people dropped them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They were afraid.
Yeah.
They came in hesitant to love. They came in resistant to receiving love and stuff, and they get in relationships and they're afraid. And the first mistake they make, and we're not always talking about the extreme ones where we hear about infidelity. We're talking that sometimes the smallest thing. I misplaced some money. I spent more than I ought to spend, or I said something to someone that I ought not said, or something like that. You got into a conversation that you ought not got into and stuff. You know you should share with your spouse because you don't want to become a habit. You don't want to become a bondage, and you don't want them to get the backlash of what may happen because if you did something somewhere where somebody may spread it or share it that you ought not done and stuff. And I'm not talking an extreme thing. I'm talking something even the smallest thing. So you're dealing with a person that has come from a family and a home that the first mistake they made. They came home. They may have had all A's or B's at the first semester, second semester. They got a C. They were treated like they were a vagabond in school, like they had no wisdom, no intelligence, and was going to be nothing. Just drop. Well, they got into relationships, and the first time they did something wrong, the person that they were in a relationship with beat them down. They beat them down emotionally, and if they could, they beat them down physically. So they just went through the treadmill of relationships and encounters from family to relationships, where when they made a mistake, they got beat up. So now they're in marriage, and the person that they're married wants to understand them more, but they keep themselves in prison. And this is not always the case, but in some cases, they keep themselves in prisons that they were put into with the other relationships and encounters that they had, that the first mistake means they're finished with you. So these are sometimes you deal with some people who can live with 25 years with this. And then you have, Pastor Flowers, in all honesty, then you have some people that are just deceptive.
Yeah.
They don't want to, they're embarrassed by it, or the arrogance keeps them there, or they don't want to lose you, period. It's just about losing you, not about keeping a relationship healthy. And they just don't tell everything that needs to be told, and they can hold on to this. And listen, it's tormenting to them. Yes. Whatever state they're in, it's tormenting to them. But we're encouraging all of us to understand that the best way to get past your torment and giving the enemy ammunition to attack your marriage and your relationship is just to be honest. Yes.
Common secrets that was reported in this survey. Common secrets that was reported in this survey included money troubles, viewing and being bound to pornography and other illicit sexual fantasies, and various forms of betrayal and sexual infidelities.
The worst
Those
thing.
were the common ones.
Yes. Now you heard the worst thing a marital couple can do in trying to anticipate the works of the enemy coming against their marriage is a whole secret that he can use against them to divide them.
Oh yeah.
You know, we like to make these big sins and these little sins, but from lying to stealing to lusting in the mind to all of it sin. Yes. And God doesn't make big sins, little sins. God calls it all sin. And sometimes when people get caught up in these things like pornography and get caught up in these kind of things, sexual fantasies and all that kind of stuff, they become embarrassed and are less resistant to bring their spouse in that can help them battle these things and overcome because they're embarrassed, or they think that the spouse may think that this is an attack on them. Yeah. And it's an attack on both of them. Yeah. It's not just an attack on the spouse that doesn't know it, or an attack on the spouse that does know it and is practicing. It's an attack on both of them. It frays the unity within the marriage. It causes uneasiness that nobody can define, and the other person's not going to tell, and stuff. So they find these struggles to feel emotionally connected and feel that kind of engaging that makes marriages strong and makes it clear. Go ahead, baby.
And in the end, when it gets uncovered or gets exposed, you know, you sit and you feel like all these many years I was married to H. Knew what was going on.
Right.
Knew why we was having problems. Knew why there was a breach in our relationship. But he or she sat there and never said anything to try to help the relationship because they wanted to save their own skin. That's frustrating.
Yes. Or again, both sides. There are times when it's just about their skin, but there are also times where people are embarrassed by the bondage that is taking advantage of them and stuff. And that's not a reason to stay in it.
No.
That's not a reason not to tell.
No.
But I'm sharing this to say that we understand.
About
yes,
both sides. What the other side may feel and what
absolutely.
The person
we understand that some can move into these issues and bondages and hold on to the deception because of emotional challenges. We understand that, but it's not. We're not saying that's an endorsement to not tell them because I don't feel safe. And no one should ever use this to say, "Well, I'm holding this because I don't want them to beat me down. I don't want to feel useless to them." To be honest, it makes you less useful to them when you hold back part of you in a bondage that both of you can come together and fight against. And there are many spouses that go off in the secret and stuff, and they get into bondages, they get into issues and struggles and stuff, such as pornography, such as sexual issues and stuff, and they don't tell their spouse.
They can talk about it.
No, they don't feel they can talk about it. So they hold themselves. They're being held hostage by this bondage away from their spouse, who can actually help them win this victory and stuff and overcome this. But they're too afraid to go and tell their spouse that this issue is going on.
They might think I'm not saved. They might think I'm hypocrite. They might think, but I need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely. That's a good point.
Okay.
Share this. Don't let the enemy keep blackmailing you.
You take the power from the enemy.
Don't let him blackmail you over your ability to get free, over the freedom or the safety of going to your spouse and sharing it with them. Don't let the enemy blackmail you like that.
Both of you can fight this thing together.
Absolutely. Okay, huh?
5 reasons why keeping secrets can destroy your relationship. It's many more, but we're just going to talk about 5 reasons why. Number 1, keeping secrets is being dishonest.
Yes.
Honesty is always the best policy, and most of us have a moral code that tells us that keeping secrets is the same as lying.
Absolutely.
Too often, a spouse is held hostage by fear, embarrassment, or a bondage that keep them from coming forward with a behavior that they're keeping secret from their spouse and family.
Now listen to this. Remember, and we got to think of it like this, so the enemy won't have a foothold and try to use some kind of emotional blackmail or emotional insecurity to keep us holding on to stuff that we could, with our spouse and with the help of God, help us get out of. And stuff. When we hold back secrets, that is detrimental spiritually and emotionally to our marital relationship. We're lying to each other. We're not giving when something else holds us away from our spouse, whatever area it is, we're not being completely honest with you. Because you're not giving all yourself to that marital relationship. Someone is being held hostage by whatever issue, bondage, or deception that you're holding back. Okay.
Number 2, keeping major secrets is a form of deceit. The more time that passes, the harder it is to finally tell the truth.
Yes.
And the harder it is to convince that other person that you are not or will not continue the action that you have been hiding for so long.
But here's
the longer you hold it.
Yes. Here's the other problem, Pastor Flowers. Now, and this is going to come up again. All of a sudden, you have whatever this secret is, whatever this bondage or struggle, whatever this thing that you've done that you held back. All of a sudden, it comes out. However it comes out. And now the spouse that is offended by the secret comes to you and asks an answer, asks for you to take responsibility. Now you're frustrated because now you feel rushed to take responsibility for something that they just discovered. Now it feels like the table is turned upside down. When the reality is, they're asking questions over something that you knew.
You already
something that you knew that you've talked about. You even had scenarios that if this comes out, what it's going to
how you gonna handle it?
How you gonna handle it? But you were too afraid to go take that step to have to handle it. So now what you want that other person to do is to hurry up and get over it, because now this pressure for you to answer just doesn't feel comfortable. It almost feels embarrassing and stuff. But if you're going to get to the other side, first, if you want to get to the other side, why don't you just explain it to them before it gets out like that?
Yeah.
So you won't feel rushed that when it's discovered or when you're caught, you're in a room and the spouse walks in, whether it's a male or female, whether it's a husband or wife walks in and you're doing something that you ought not do. Or they go and check their bank account and realize that you're spending money in an area that you ought not spend. And now you have to quickly answer and give them assurance that this is not going to happen again. And so, how can you do that in that shorter moment? Because we talk about two words. We talk about distrust and mistrust. And they are different. Mistrust is an uneasy feeling that's happening. You don't have all the evidence that something's wrong, but you just feel like something's wrong. Distrust is you've experienced them doing something wrong, and you don't trust that they're going to change. And stuff.
History.
Yes, has a history and stuff. So you want to clear that out, and it's not as bad when it's mistrust. If you clear it out and you bring it to them, and they don't have to feel like you held it back for them, and now it becomes distrust because all the evidence is laid out and you held it back. So again, be led, be sensitive to the person that you're talking to. The one that if you really want them to come talk to you, you got to be mature enough to be able to listen.
Yes.
You can't come to conclusions and think all the results that may seem reasonable. You've been deceptive. You've been lied to me. You weren't real with me. All these things that seem reasonable. You can't come to these conclusions and throw that at them if you want to come to a place of solution too, and you want them to be able to be open and honest with you, not just in that point, from that point on. Okay.
Number 3, being deceitful breeds mistrust. Further, once a person loses trust, it is hard to regain, especially for those who have been betrayed by someone that they had invested love and trust in. I put this part. No one wants to find out that they've been lied to by someone they're in a relationship with, someone they gave their heart to, someone they loves, and someone they trusted, and someone they thought that was on the same page with them, only to be devastatingly hurt when it is finally exposed, most of the time by others or other circumstantial facts and evidence.
Amen.
It's a hurtful thing.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to feel like that their love and trust towards you was in vain.
Yeah.
But here's the thing you got on the edge of, Pastor Flowers, that we also have to discuss. You may be dealing with someone, and this is I guess this when it becomes most extremely painful. When you get into a relationship and it's leading to marriage, and you get married, and before you got married, that person told you, listen, I've been through a lot of relationships, and all the relationships I went through end up ending because they were deceptive.
Yeah, they hurt me.
They hurt me, this and that.
Yeah, and so you're empathizing.
Absolutely. And then they're laying this out to you to solicit a promise that you're not going to do them like that. So you offer that promise to them, that I'm going to be
and
honest with you.
You think it's safe because, they know what it's like to be victimized, and so you know they're not going to victimize you.
Now,
think they're not going to victimize you.
No, this is not the one. The one that's soliciting this promise is the only one that's been hurt. They're soliciting, yes. Yeah. So you think when they offer the promise that I'm not going to hurt you, they think, okay, it looks like you, because I've revealed this to you and I trust you to this point, that I don't believe that you're gonna give me a promise and then break it. I believe you're gonna store my heart right. And so you go out throughout the relationship being as honest as you want until you start to relax. And then all of a sudden you let things in that kind of compromise your promise towards that person. And you start hiding this thing. Start up a small thing, just started hiding that thing. And you feel like, oh, they don't need to know that it doesn't make any difference. And all of a sudden, this hiding of things starts to build a division or separation that you cannot define.
You can't define.
And then all of a sudden it comes out that you've done some things that were deceptive. And here's what people who do these small things don't seem to understand. That when this small things is uncovered and it's discovered, and the person that told you what they've gone through explodes and is almost over and through with you, you can't understand how they can almost be over with you for this small thing and stuff when they went through so many things when they were bigger. Why? Because it built up a resistance to trust again when these offenses start to happen. So that small thing is just like the big things because they told you what they're like before you started this relationship or went further in that relationship. So don't get surprised. Don't get surprised if you're still doing small things and not being honest with them when they told you those big things have crushed them, and it took them a long time to trust you and trust you and be to fall in love with you and stuff, and you don't bring it to them and take responsibility, and they find it out, and then they're crushed. Amen.
Number 4, keeping secrets is a hotbed for betrayal.
Yes.
Leaving out important facts can lead to further deceptions or betrayal. Leaving out important facts is the same thing as deception.
Absolutely.
Okay. You know you have left something out, and you left it out intentionally. Okay?
Absolutely.
When we're feeding our relationship from a position that is dishonest, it creates a superficial ease that makes the very betrayal and deceptive behavior feel not that bad. And inevitably, it is easier to go back and repeat that same behavior.
Over again.
Whereas being open and honest with your spouse will promote an honest and real change, which will build trust from your spouse.
Pastor Flowers, before we go any further, again, we solicit you if you have any questions and stuff on a subject or thought and stuff, especially dealing with what we're talking about tonight. Please write them down and we'll get to them as quickly as we see them. Pastor Flowers, I think in this modern day, especially when it comes to relationships, that we don't take seriously sometimes some of the things that we just neglect. We don't sometimes think sometimes I think we can think that if I can get over it as an individual, then you should be able to get over it as an individual.
Oh, wow.
Or if I don't deem it as that deep, or I don't deem it as that
It's
that
not
hurtful,
all that.
it should
You
be that
just need
hurtful.
to get over that.
Right.
You just need to go on and forgive me. You're a Christian, ain't you? You're supposed to forgive me. Be so nonchalant about it when a person is being devastated and hurt to the core.
I think that, in all honesty, some may even think that it's not that serious, and it is, because you're dealing with somebody's life.
Yes.
You're dealing with somebody else's makeup or what makes them healthy. And when you and most time, oftentimes, when you're dealing with people in relationships, you're dealing with people who have been crushed at somewhere. Somewhere down the line, somebody has done something to them. And it may not be 100% of people in relationships, but most often when you're dealing with somebody, you're dealing with somebody that has come out of something. That they have went through something, God has helped them, God has healed them, and they've learned once again how to trust and how to actually love. Not just go along with the relationship, but how to actually love. And when they go into the relationship, learning how to actually love again, they're expecting their love not to be breached.
Yeah.
Their trust not to be breached. They're expecting that person that they're in a relationship with to treat them like they want to be treated.
Like they want to be treated.
To be honest and open and upfront with them. And to carry on this relationship where everybody understands that we're the responsibility of one another, and we're not going to do anything to crush the hopes and dreams that we came into the relationship with. And I think sometimes we get so used to one another in relationships that we forget that we still must be stewards of one another.
Exactly.
And we must be good stewards. Go ahead,
because you're going to leave the other thinking, well, okay, if you love me so much, how can you crush me so deep?
Right.
You can't do the, bitter and sweet water can't come out the same fountain.
No.
If you're going to treat me like that, then there's no way in the world you can really love me. Because the Word of God says that love worketh no ill to his brother. And I'm closer to you than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not always, it's Pastor Flowers, and we've talked about this before, it's not always easy to tell people things that you're embarrassed about. And we kind of said that in other ways. It's not always easy. Sometimes it feels right embarrassed. I got to go tell them I did this and stuff. I got to go tell them that happened and everything. And sometimes it's because of that feeling of embarrassment or uneasiness, or sometimes feeling that they may look at you wrong, makes it easier just to say nothing. And then what makes it even easier is when we understand that God forgives us of our sins. And we go to God and we ask God to forgive us, but we forget about the breach that created between us and our spouses.
Yes.
And sometimes we just relax in the idea that God will forgive us and forget all about what we've just done, the offense that we've done against the marital vows.
Exactly.
And stuff. So that's all we're encouraging us to do. Don't forget that your behavior doesn't just affect you. It affects the person that you're in covenant relationship with. It affects them. If that wasn't the case, look at this. We used to talk about Achan earlier.
Yes.
Now, look at Achan and them. They're here in the middle of a city. Country. They got a whole big country. Israel was on their way traveling and everything, and they decided it was coming through. Yes. They decided, look, we're going to take some of this Babylonian garment and we're going to go ahead and put it amongst our stuff. That's what Achan did. And all of a sudden, the victories and progress of Israel stopped. But not only
dying, battles that you won.
But not only did Israel's progress stop, his family stopped. His whole family stopped along with Israel because of what they did. And then there was an investigation to find out why was this happening. And God revealed that Achan had taken some of the stuff that was not accepted and hid it amongst his stuff. He lied about it.
And he lied.
But he hid it amongst his stuff.
Yes, he did.
And stuff. And the result was that their family was separated from the promise of God, taken outside the camp, and killed off. Our behavior, our offenses and stuff, don't just affect us. When we do stuff and don't say anything about it, we just hold it in, and then we may continue to practice and stuff. It doesn't just affect us, because someone that you're going to meet and that you claim that you love, or your spouse that you claim you love, is going to be deeply offended by the behavior that is easily solved. And I just believe that Pastor Flowers, some of the things that become a great offense becomes a great offense because we hold it in.
Yes.
Some of it's just easy to solve.
Yes.
You know,
we figure like if we hold it in long enough, it'll go away. It won't go away. It'll be just another big lump under the rug that you have gotten satisfied with. But when your spouse see that big lump, they wonder, what is that under there? I know it's something under there. I know it's a lump under there. What is it? You know what it is.
Right.
But that lump will be under the rug. It doesn't go away.
Absolutely. Not by itself. But I just deal with it. All right, Pastor Flowers.
Number 5. Relationships are damaged by lies, and couples grow apart. It's hard to feel emotionally connected to someone when the growth and health of the relationship has been offended and held up by any kind of deception.
Absolutely.
Offended and held up. Can't grow into nothing. This deception will seriously damage the marital relationship or the dating relationship. If the deception is revealed by someone else, or is discovered by them in an email or a text message or some other factual evidence that they themselves had discovered.
If you know that there is something that you need to reveal to your spouse, something that you've done, and can you be honest with you? Let's even take it back further. I think the people that need to be most honest is the people that try to get a relationship that may lead to marriage.
Yes.
You don't need to leave anything out. There are some things. Again, we're on our way to it.
I ain't gonna tell him that. I ain't gonna tell her that.
But you need to tell them. They need to know. They need to know what baggage that you're bringing in with them when this relationship unfolds into marriage.
Yes.
Because it shouldn't be their responsibility to help bear a burden that could have been dealt with if you've just been honest with them at the beginning of the marriage. And singles, you need to ask more questions. You don't need to just take things at face value. You don't need to just say, well, this person looks good. They go to church, they shout and stuff. They like coming to church and stuff. You shouldn't take that at face value, because remember, somebody's trying to earn something.
Yes.
There are people that get a job that don't like to work. They'll go to work that first week, but after the first week is over, they don't go work no more, or they start missing days. Just get a paycheck.
Get a paycheck
and stuff. So they're doing what's necessary to get a paycheck. But after that paycheck is over, or after that first week is over, they're not as committed as they once were. That's why it's important that singles ask the right questions.
Ask the right questions.
Or get the right questions
Don't be
asked.
afraid to ask the questions.
Absolutely.
If you're feeling it, ask it.
Absolutely.
Don't wait till you say I do and then ask the question and find out you don't like the answer.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to lose somebody because you asked the right question. You need to find out what you're getting as a husband or a wife before you say I do. Because what you say I do and don't know what behind it, you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have to do it.
And if asking the right questions make them upset and want to argue with you or want to walk away and leave, then you need to thank God.
Absolutely.
Lord, you delivered me.
Absolutely.
I remember one time the Lord did something, and I was so upset with the Lord. I mean, oh man, I was upset with him. But you know what he said to me? He said, "Receive ye my deliverance." And I stopped a minute. And I thought, I'm seeing this as bad, but God was seeing this as him delivering me.
Absolutely.
So sometimes
this wasn't
God
me. Wasn't with me.
No, it wasn't. No. Oh, sometimes.
Because you kind of happy when you said that. I just want to clear it up.
It was something
Okay.
that he took out of our lives.
Right.
Not a person, but it was
Right.
something that he took out of our lives. And we was upset about it.
Amen.
But nevertheless, he said, receive ye my deliverance.
Amen.
And I realized, well, the stress and the burden and all of that stuff has been lifted. So God did deliver.
Absolutely.
So if you're asking them questions and it's getting them all upset and they're having a problem with it and they're frustrated about it, you know what? Just give God the glory.
Absolutely.
And that
Absolutely.
it was found out before you jumped into that thing.
Absolutely. Because that burden you'll carry and you have to wrestle with that thing.
It.
And the sad thing about it is, if they won't take responsibility, this is why you need to ask the questions. If they won't be forefront and honest with you and trying to win your heart towards marriage and stuff, you have to wrestle it out of them, and then they get upset and frustrated and threaten to leave and stuff. Help them leave. Tell them to go. I'm talking about dating stage now.
Yeah, dating stage.
Let them go.
Yes.
Let them go. Because if they won't take responsibility at the dating stage over something that they did do, how much responsibility do you think they're going to take if they take you to marriage and do stuff?
Yeah.
So it's a blessing in, I guess, like you used to say, blessing in disguise. If somebody,
dodge that
absolutely, that's it. So wait.
Save yourself a whole lot of stress.
Absolutely.
Ask the right questions.
Absolutely. All right.
Trust is about much more than whether we can catch our spouse or our loved ones in a lie or the truth.
Absolutely.
It is about believing that he or she truly has our best interests at heart and will not knowingly or willingly hurt us or continue a behavior that they know will hurt us or has hurt us.
Now this is trust on both ends. I'm not looking to build trust based on whether you tell me the truth or whether I catch you in a lie. But my trust is based on that I'm convinced, and they show me that being convinced is not in vain. That you're not going to do anything knowingly or unknowingly. You're not going to do anything on purpose to hurt me.
Yeah.
You're not going to put me in a position. Here's the key thing. We talked about this a long time ago. You're not going to put me in a position where I question your love.
Yeah.
Your behavior is not going to put me in a position where I have to reevaluate everything that I thought we had between each other. And that's what a good relationship is about.
You know, I look at that and I read that part about willingly hurt. It's bad when you're in a relationship with somebody who will willingly hurt you because they like the behavior. They will willingly hurt you because, well, I like doing this. Oh, well, I know it's going to hurt her. Or I know it's going to hurt him, but hey, I'm enjoying it. If there's if you're in a dating relationship with somebody that will willingly hurt you because they like the behavior, you need to send them to kick rocks.
Absolutely, because that means they're not going to change their behavior.
They're not going to change.
They're not going to be considerate of your feelings.
Exactly. They know their behavior is going to hurt you, but they figure, oh well, he'll get over it. Oh well, she'll get over it. I'll smooth through. I'll buy him some sneakers, or I'll buy her some flowers, or I might take her out and whatever.
So you
but
gonna buy me some sneakers?
I didn't hurt you.
I know, but I'm just saying you tap me and stuff. Say I'm gonna buy him some sneakers.
No.
I thought you were talking about. I could use some nice Nikes or some Air Gordons or something like that. Not even Jordans. I said Air Gordons. You can buy them. You can buy them at Walmart. Go down the aisle where they have $14 or $15.
I'm starting to think I need a trip to Florida. It's kind of cold up here.
Oh Lord, that'd be good. That would be a
couple
nice
weeks down there.
Oh Lord, geez, praise God. Ain't that good? Yes, Lord. All right, honey.
Mistrust is a lingering feeling of uneasiness that sometimes that there's just something not right here.
Absolutely.
Then there is the position of distrust, which is taken because of past experiences of disloyalty and offensive behavior that is believed, whether true or not, is being repeated once again.
We can through honesty and upfrontness, whether it be a relationship that's trying to develop into the marriage, or whether it's a marriage that the enemy is challenging, we can remove our marriages out of those stages just by being honest. But let me show you something too. Also, this is not just a responsibility of the one who's done bad behavior.
No.
This is also a responsibility of the one who's been bad behavior has been done on. What you mean?
Uh-huh.
The victim has to be willing to hear the person out, make a decision based on the evidence that they've been given and stuff, and not just throw the person away, allowing them to finish, or at least show the evidence, or present evidence that they've changed. We can't just, how you doing, hon? My granddaughter, good to see you. But we can't just throw them away. We can't just they've done some things. We know they've done some things. We have an idea or have an impression of some things has been done. Then they come forward with those things that's be done. And the first thing we want to do is, well, get away from me and stuff. I kind of had a feeling that that you were doing it. My question to you is then, why'd you hang around till they found out? If you thought or understood they were doing something and stuff, and you were uneasy, why were you waiting until they disclosed it to you? My thought is, if you were waiting around for them to disclose it to you, I was thinking you were doing this because you want to help them get over it and you want to solve it. You didn't want them to disclose it because you want to give up things. You just want to give up things. You were hoping that they would disclose it. This is what the hope is, that you are hanging around when they disclose it, so that you all can work on it and move from that point on. It's not good. It's not mature to just wait for the person to disclose and say, "I'll just wait for you to tell us so I can leave you." That's not good. You want to be mature and helping that person to get in a position that if you're bringing it to me, that means you want me to work with you on it and something we're gonna work on change. Amen.
All right.
Okay.
So much about trust is walking the talk. Your spouse or loved one may tell you he or she loves you, but does his or her actions support that? 1 John 3:18 in the King James Version says, "My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth."
Absolutely.
All too often, when people aren't feeling safe enough in a relationship, they will mistrust or distrust the other that they're in the relationship with. When having open and honest conversation is the norm, distrust and mistrust is defeated.
Absolutely. And Pastor Fowles, one of the things that sometimes spouses want other spouses to do that is a victim of this behavior that's being hidden is they want this person to feel at ease. They know they have the answer to why this person is not feeling close to them. They know they have the answer to why this person is not, why this person feels to be mistrusting them. Why it seem like you always on edge? Why it seem like you know why they're there. You know what you've interjected in that relationship.
Give them the answers they need.
Absolutely.
A lie is only going to just make things worse.
Absolutely.
Give them the answers that if you really love that person.
Absolutely.
Give them the answers they need, and you be willing to work. Don't just look for them to work to be able to forgive you and work to be able to get past it. You got to be willing to work to secure them in that
Absolutely.
area. And a lot of times that's not something that they want to do.
Nope.
Why should I have to make her feel secure? Why should I have to make him feel secure? Because you broke them.
Because you don't want to make them feel insecure.
You broke
insecure.
them.
Absolutely.
And you have to do the work to help to heal that relationship.
Absolutely.
And be willing to heal that relationship. Sometimes it's not going to feel good. It's going to feel like, you have to do a lot of work, but you did it.
Pastor Flowers, I just want to ask the question, kind of throw this out.
Okay.
Some may watch our videos and say, "God, y'all talk a lot about, what's wrong, what's going on in relationships. Do y'all ever talk about anything else?" Yes, we do. But here's the problem. If you look at marriages today, they're being constantly attacked.
Yes.
Enemy's doing everything he can to give a bad testimony
Special
in relationships.
Christian marriages.
Oh, absolutely. So, and the reason why he can do this is it deals with the core of the subject that we're talking about tonight. Sometimes we're not being as responsible to one another as we need to be.
Exactly.
Sometimes we're not following through with our obligations of love that we made when we first bought them before. We'll marry a princess and try to make him bow.
Wow.
We'll marry a king and try to make him bow. We won't honor what we say we got. We won't cherish what we say we earn. We won't nurture the things.
That's the word, cherish.
Yes, we won't do those things. What we'll do those. We'll get married and we get used to them, and we just start neglecting things. We'll start saying things. We'll start lying. We'll start deceiving. We'll start inviting other people into our space and time, and we allow people to steal things away from our relationship and away from our connection and stuff that we should not allow them to steal from. Then all of a sudden, you find your spouse being crowded by empty spaces, not being crowded by the occupation of the marriage, but just being crowded by empty spaces. And that empty space starts to build a division. And when you reach for them, they're not there. Or when they reach for them, they don't respond. And you say to yourself, why are you acting like that? Because of all the things that you've allowed to come between us after the promises that you made.
Yes.
This is why we have to talk like that. Because if we don't talk about this and we don't deal with these kind of things, we'll act like all we have to do is hikama. All we have to do is lay oil on somebody without aggressively going after the things that the enemy is trying to invest in our marriages and stuff, and think that the enemy won't have power over our relationship. We have to deal with those things. We can't just lie. We can't just. Well, you know what? I may have got fresh with that girl, but I don't do it no more. But what was the impression that you left?
You left an impression.
What was the What was the impression? Not just what you left with her, but against her. Not just the one you got fresh with, but the impression you left against her, your spouse, or him. And that thing sometimes we don't think about. We don't think about the impression that we leave against our marriage. That person may have gone on. You may have actually said, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that." And you're right. That's the right thing to do. But then you got to go make sure you clean up and remove any impressions that you made against your marriage by walking in that area and stuff. And you also have to deal with what mindset that was going on before you got the courage to go and do that. What was going on in your mind? What was going on in your mindset? What activities? What kind of activities that was going on before you got the nerve to go and express what you may have been thinking in your mind and your heart? So if that was just a reaction of what over time you were thinking in your mind and heart, you still have an impression against your marriage and your spouse that you have to deal with.
Yeah. Because now your spouse realizes you're subject to this.
Absolutely.
How subject are you to this? How much can I trust you in this? If this situation come up again, will you walk that same path?
Absolutely.
Will you do this thing over and over and over again? How am I going to protect my heart? Do I cocoon myself? Do I go back away just to protect myself and keep myself? There are so many marriages that is here that their spouses, whether husband or wife, have cocooned themselves just so they don't get hurt by the person that they're supposed to trust more than anything.
Absolutely. And Pastor Fox, this can be as smallest thing as we go to a family reunion. And we're in that family reunion, and somebody in your family decides they want to get drunk and act stupid, and they say something to you about someone else, or they say something to you disparagingly against your spouse, and you say nothing, and you say and you say you don't say nothing because they're drunk, don't pay any attention to them, but you cannot ignore the ignorant behavior that they did and stuff, and then convince your spouse that this shouldn't have offended you too. No. Because it should have offended you too. It shouldn't have offended you too, because you two are one. Absolutely. And sometimes this is disregarded, and then it goes on being practiced over and over again, and before you know it, somebody gets hurt, somebody gets broken, all because not just, and I know we like to say this, and I can endorse this to some degree. No, we can't be responsible for everybody else's behavior. But we can be responsible for how they carry out their behavior continually in your life, against your spouse, against your own. You can be responsible for that. I can't listen. You may get drunk. I can't be responsible for my uncle getting drunk, but I can be responsible for how he talks to my wife and how he talks about my family. I can put them in their place, or anybody, how I can put them in their place, and we need to be responsible for that, because if not, we leave a breach between us and our spouse and stuff that has to be answered. And sometimes because you didn't deal with it, you can't give the answers. Nope. You can't give the answers that's satisfactory to that person. No,
and you can't heal her.
Nope.
And you can't heal him.
Nope.
When you offend so deeply with your spouse, it's hard to even pray for.
Absolutely. And the offense, and like we were saying, you can't heal them because they felt you left their pain in the hands of somebody else.
Exactly. You gave them the power to hurt me. You and them both work together, and you hurt me.
Absolutely. So that's why I'm saying, that's why we talk like this, because we don't want the enemy to keep taking advantage of our homes and marriages, because sometimes we get callous. So sometimes we just let things flow, because sometimes we don't feel like we need to address it right there. There are some things, and we were saying this before we got on the broadcast, there are some things we need to address immediately. There are some things that takes a leading in time, but there are some things we need to address immediately. There are some things that we cannot continue to let go on. We can't let things be said. We can't let things be done. We can't let things be said and done to us. And so without dealing with it. Some things we just need to deal with immediately, because the enemy is looking for an opportunity to get at your spouse, to get at your marriage, to get at your family, to get at your blessings, to get at your finances, to get at your health, to get at your ministry, to get at everything that concerns you, and he's looking for an opportunity.
And when they get at everything that concerns you, they get at everything that concerns your spouse.
Absolutely.
And not just you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Secrets that will almost always hurt a relationship no matter what. Everyone is entitled to their fair share of secrets. Now, maybe you don't need to tell maybe you don't need to tell just anyone about your gross little habits or the weird thing you did one time when you was in college. That's okay. But when it comes to your relationship, you really have to be willing to be open and honest.
Now let me say this while my pastor fathers. There are some things that don't make any difference. No. When I was in school one time, I was walking down the hall. I'm just hypothetically talking because I see one of the old schoolmates on here, so I didn't do that. Now one day I was walking down the hallway and I saw this joint and I picked it up and smoked it in the hallway. I don't need to tell that. That's not, we get married, I don't need to talk that and stuff. Or I was going to the lunchroom and stuff, and they was putting out trays and stuff, and they was putting out trays, and we supposed to just go by and pick them up. I took somebody else's cake or stuff off that tray, went onto my table and ate it. Those kind of things. It's stealing, don't do that, shouldn't do it now. But those kind of things, we all have. There's some embarrassing things that we've done that we don't share that. We don't need it. But when it affects the marital relationship as it exists, we need to be able to be open and share that.
Whilst there is no need to tell your casual friends, you definitely need to understand that there are some secrets that you should not keep from your spouse or potential spouse.
Amen.
Sharing your life with someone means being one. And if you are one, how can you keep secrets from yourself? Sharing your life with someone means being honest, especially regarding anything that can affect the health of the relationship. Do you struggle with mental illness? Have you trust issues? Have you had abortions which may cause the womb to be attacked with spirits of death and miscarriage, or a history of STDs? These are some of the things you want to share, even if you have to do it in tears and it feels scary. This is for people that are going into relationship, going into marriage.
Absolutely.
Not just any willing.
Nope.
Do you, share that kind
You don't
of
just,
stuff
you meet somebody in the store and stuff, and at a coffee shop, they buy you a cup of coffee
No,
and
you don't
stuff.
need to share
You
all
look at
that.
them and say, "You know I had an STD."
That's TMI.
Yeah, it's too much information. But I'm talking about when every
information.
relationship is getting ready to go to a serious place.
Yes.
And listen, it's only necessary if, and I think we said it a little bit later, it's only necessary if the STD that you have is just being treated and not cured.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Yes.
It being treated and not cured, or something like herpes, syphilis, or HIV, you need to share
Absolutely.
those things.
Absolutely.
So the person will know what they're dealing with.
Absolutely.
Even if you were dating somebody and now they have contracted some issue,
Right.
Whether it's herpes or syphilis or HIV or whatever, you might want to talk about that.
Absolutely.
And let them know, well, this happened after me and them broke up.
Right.
Because they're going to hear, well, he used to go with Mary, or she used to go with John, and right now they have herpes. So do he has herpes? Do she have? So you need to talk about those things so that they'll be prepared and not be slapped in the face.
Most definitely.
Thinking, well, do I need to go get tested?
Right.
Why didn't you tell me this?
Absolutely. Okay.
Once you air all of your secrets, you and your spouse can now identify the identity of some of the struggles that are challenging your marital relationship connection that did not have an identity.
And now listen to this, because I know. Let me explain what I was saying, because something I'm right, and I'll be right and stuff. Don't worry about it, hon. When we begin to share, we become open. We inevitably uncover some of the things that we didn't know was there, or didn't know what it was that was causing divisions and separations in our marital relationship. That's when we share some things. Okay, I see why it seemed like I didn't have all of you. It seemed like there was some division between us because there were some things that you should have told me and stuff, and you didn't tell me and stuff. And I understand that the enemy was using that to cause division between us, and that's why we just didn't feel close.
But another thing too that I think needs to be shared, everything, but babies. Even with children you don't claim, or children you say is not yours.
Right.
Still share those things, especially if that particular girl is saying you are the father. Until the DNA comes out, still share those things so that they will know.
Absolutely.
That there's a possibility I have another son. There's a possibility I have another daughter.
It's also important, I think, so on that same vein is that if you go into a relationship and you have children, don't hide your relationship that you're having or how you're relating to the person who's the father of that child or the mother of that child. Don't act like don't act like around them that you hate the person. Yeah. And then when the person's not around, you all up in their face.
All up in the face. Getting mad because they moved on.
Absolutely. Or getting mad, or getting so frustrated that you don't know what to do because they don't come over to see the child, or because they don't do this for the child stuff. Yes, fathers and mothers should take responsibility for the children they bring here, but it shouldn't make that impact of them not doing it shouldn't be so deep or so bitter that you take it out on the person that you're in a relationship with. So this is not married, but dealing with this was someone who is somewhat close to me who is addicted to.
We were going to talk about that, sharing the fact that they're addicted to drugs and alcohol and different other things. These are things that need to be talked about because there's an evil spirit that follows those particular things. If you had that addiction, that spirit will come back and try to refine his home or show up in your children or your grandchildren. So you need to talk about that so that your spouse will know somewhere along the line this thing might come back knocking. So we need to make sure it's covered.
Keep praying and pulling it down to make sure it doesn't come back knocking on my children or come back knocking in our home. But we need to be, like we were saying, we need to be open and upfront with any issues and struggles and bondages that we're having and stuff, and we need to be very open to something that's going to affect that that relationship. The worst thing that needs to happen, and I want to say this, our time is just about winding up and stuff, and that is this: if you know that you're a carrier of something, whether it be spiritual or physical, that's going to change the life of the person that you're going to get married to or that you are married to, you need to have shared or should share that with that person. Nobody needs to wake up with a surprise they did not bargain for when they said I do.
And if it has been a long time and you don't know how to bring that across or how to talk about those things, you might need to sit down with a counselor or sit down with your leader and say, okay, I need to talk to my spouse about something that I should have talked to them about, way back. Absolutely. But now I want to bring it on the table. I want to come clean. I'm going to tell you something. That's freeing.
Absolutely.
I want to come clean. I want to have everything above board. And I need to have somebody there to help me to be able to explain to them, help me to be able to present to them what I have been holding as a secret for all these many years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? Every person who's made a mistake deserves peace.
Yeah, they do.
You deserve resolution. You deserve the right and opportunity to share your heart and your feelings and stuff to the person that you say you love, so that person can forgive you. And I mean what I'm saying, so that person can forgive you. Because you will never know how much that person actually loves you, actually wants them in their life, until you get free enough to feel it.
Until you get free enough to feel it.
And as long as you're holding something back and on edge that it might come out, you'll never be able to feel the complete love that they have towards you. But listen, we thank God for you, and we're thinking about something. We may change our schedule a little bit about time empowerment. We may scale back to just once a month and stuff, but we're not sure. We're praying about it. Ask that you pray with us and stuff. We just want it to be effective. We want to be relevant to the time. We don't want to just have broadcasts or programs because it's something that's easy to do. We want to do it because it affects your life. It's beneficial to your life. It's a blessing to your life. And I'm not saying it out of pride. We're not trying to solicit. I don't know what the word is. We just want to do something. We want this program to be to reach as many homes, as many families, and many relationships.
I think it's on YouTube.
As possible. We have a YouTube channel that where all the videos. Thank God. Thank you, Amy. We all the videos that we've done here is uploaded to our YouTube channel. You go on YouTube, you put in Tyra Empowerment Family Enrichment, TOE Family Enrichment, something like that. But you'll get to our YouTube channel, and I'll have it. I'll put it at the end of this video. I'll put it in the comment bar, the address to it. But we just want to, and in all honesty, just give us a couple of minutes. We just want to, in all honesty, we've talked about this. We want to make sure that we're reaching people where they're at to empower them to where God wants them to go. Because we take this seriously. We don't just do this because it's entertaining. We do this because we take seriously relationship. We take our relationship seriously. We really do. And because we take our relationship seriously, when we come before you, it's not that we just come off the cuff. We've studied, we've talked, and we prayed. We actually get together and talk about, what we feel God is directing us to talk. Yes, we actually do. And stuff, and we seek His face because we don't want you just to come on and you just listen to a group of people to talk and stuff because that I don't know whether we sound smart or whatever. We just want to be able to empower you with the wisdom of God to help you in your relationships. We're tired of marriages being aborted because they're not healthy going
in the church.
Yes, yes. So we're really praying about. Whether we should just go scale back to once a month and stuff and make sure it's effective, or what we keep on twice a month. But we're praying about it and we're seeking God because again, this is not something that we do because we don't have any time. We do it because it's the time that God has ordained us to carry out this kind of program. So amen. Amy said I work a lot on Sunday, but what are your your service times. Amen. Well,
on Sundays, our services, our general services start at 11:30.
Yes.
And we're located in Laurel, right across from the Food Line Shopping Center in the dark blue building.
Amen.
And all are welcome.
Amen. Let me say this too. I'm going to say this quickly. We're going to throw this out here because we hear others on Facebook Live ask this. If the Lord is dealing with you to sow into our ministry, and I'm going to say this so you'll know, it doesn't cost us anything to do this. This doesn't cost us anything. So we're not doing this for this. We're just doing it for ministry. If the Lord is dealing with you to sow into our ministry and stuff, you can go to our PayPal account. Pastor Flies can give you the address to go to our PayPal account and how you can sow into our ministry.
Well, certainly you can do that by just going to PayPal if you have a PayPal account and put in a telephone number 302-260-2733. Again, that's 302-260-2733, and Family Enrichment name will come up, and you can go ahead and make your donation there. We are a tax exempt organization. We have a 501c3, and you can just be a blessing.
Amen. Tony, if you'll type that information down at the comment bar, please, so it can be on here. But we thank God. Listen, don't forget to go by Amazon.com and look up our books and stuff and order some books. I believe that they will be a blessing to you. Listen, again, we love you. Keep us in your prayers and stuff. And I know that God is going to do some awesome. God bless you, Sister Dukes. Amen. I know God's going to do some awesome things in your life. And just keep your marriages honest before Keon. How you doing, Keon? Smith said, I just want to encourage you guys to keep going. The world needs the world needs this marriage ministry. God bless. Thank you so much for the encouragement and stuff. Just keep us in prayer. We love doing this.
Yes, indeed.
Now, what we gonna do after the broadcast is over?
You gonna fix me something to eat?
No, I thought you were gonna fix me something to eat.
No, I always fix something to eat. It's your chance.
No, I don't think we don't do it like that. I thought you.
We're 50-50.
No.
We're
100.
Oh, 100. Okay.
See?
Then I got a 200.
Huh?
I'm 200% sure that you're gonna fix me something to eat.
Lord Jesus. Well, listen. God bless you. We'll see you again. Yes. We just thank God. We appreciate you so much. So God bless you. Share this video if it's been a blessing to you and stuff, and let other people in your family and around your churches and stuff.
We're out of time, but we're not out of message.
No, sir. So God bless you. We'll talk to you again on the next broadcast. We love you.